You're listening to Reddit's Secret Confessions. I never thought I would be here telling strangers about my private life, but I don't know where else to go with this story. For years I believed I was living in a solid marriage. I thought I knew my wife, Emily. We had our normal ups and downs, bills to pay, chores to split, weekends that felt too short, but I trusted her. I thought trust was the one thing we had that couldn't be shaken. It turns out I was wrong, and I only found out because of her best friend, not because Emily ever planned to tell me the truth. Emily and I met in college. She was warm and social, the kind of person who made friends easily. She had a laugh that carried across the cafeteria and a way of making people feel like they were the most important in the room. I was quieter, more reserved. Somehow she noticed me, and for reasons I still don't fully understand, she wanted me. We built our life together slowly. Graduation, jobs, a small apartment with thin walls, the kind where you can hear the neighbors arguing. We adopted a rescue cat named Oliver, who shredded every couch we owned, but curled up against our legs at night. After a few years, we got married. Nothing extravagant, just a modest wedding with family and a few close friends. Among those friends was Jessica, who had been Emily's best friend since high school. Jessica was always around. At first, I didn't mind. She was part of Emily's life before I even met her, so I accepted that she would be part of ours. She was loud, opinionated, the kind of person who said exactly what she thought, even when no one asked. Sometimes it annoyed me, but I chalked it up to her personality. Emily and Jessica had that kind of bond where they could fight one day and laugh together the next. Years passed. Emily and I bought a house, something we were proud of, even though the mortgage stretched us thin. We built routines, Sunday morning coffee, movie nights on Fridays, little trips when we could afford them. Life felt steady, even boring at times, but I didn't mind boring. I thought boring meant safe. Looking back now, I can see cracks I ignored. Emily started staying out later, saying she was catching up with coworkers. She guarded her phone more closely than before, keeping it face down on the table. When I asked about it, she sighed and told me I was overthinking, that she needed privacy too. I didn't push back because I didn't want to be that insecure husband who controls his wife's every move. I told myself trust mattered more than suspicion. Then came the night everything unraveled. It wasn't Emily who told me. It was Jessica. Emily and Jessica had a falling out. I don't know all the details of their fight. I just know it ended with Jessica storming into our house one afternoon while Emily wasn't home. She was furious, muttering under her breath, her hands shaking as she set her bag down on our kitchen counter. I asked her what happened, and she snapped at me to stay out of it. I should have left it alone, but Jessica has never been good at holding her tongue. She said things in anger, things I don't think she intended for me to hear. At first, it was fragments, that she was tired of covering for Emily, that she didn't want to be part of lies anymore, that I deserved to know. I asked her what she meant, but she just glared at me like I was the biggest fool in the room. Then she said it. She told me Emily had been cheating for years, not once, not a mistake, systematically with different people, sometimes overlapping, and Jessica had been dragged into it by being the one Emily confided in. My stomach dropped. I remember gripping the edge of the kitchen counter to steady myself. The hum of the refrigerator suddenly felt louder, the ticking of the clock on the wall unbearable. I asked Jessica to explain, and she shook her head, almost regretting what she had just said. She muttered that she shouldn't have opened her mouth, that Emily would kill her for this. But the words were already out, and I couldn't take them back into silence. Jessica left soon after, slamming the door so hard Oliver darted under the couch. I was left alone in the kitchen, staring at the space she had occupied, trying to process what I had just heard. My first instinct was denial. Jessica was angry. Maybe she was exaggerating. Maybe she just wanted to hurt Emily in the heat of their fight. But the look on her face, the bitterness in her voice, told me otherwise. I sat there for hours, waiting for Emily to come home, rehearsing what I would say, how I would confront her. I imagined demanding answers, shouting, crying. But when she walked through the door that evening, tired and casual, carrying groceries like it was any other day, my words died in my throat. I couldn't bring myself to ask. Not yet. Instead, I watched her move around the kitchen, unpacking bags, humming under her breath. I studied every detail, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear, the way she smiled faintly when she noticed Oliver watching her from the doorway, the way she filled the silence like nothing was wrong. And all I could think was, how much of this was real, and how much was a performance I had fallen for. That night, I barely slept. I lay awake listening to the rhythm of her breathing beside me, wondering how many nights had been like this, where I thought we were together, but in reality she was somewhere else, with someone else. Jessica's words replayed in my head like a broken record. Years. Not a slip, not a one-time betrayal, but a pattern. By morning I felt hollow. I knew I had to find out the truth for myself. The morning after Jessica's outburst, I sat at the kitchen table with a mug of coffee that had gone cold in my hands. The house was quiet except for the ticking of the wall clock. Emily was still asleep. I kept staring at her phone on the counter, half hidden under yesterday's mail. For years I had avoided touching it, telling myself that trust meant never snooping. But after what Jessica said, the phone looked less like a private device and more like a locked door to the truth. I didn't pick it up. Not then. My hands were shaking too badly. Instead, I tried to go through the motions of a normal day. I showered, dressed for work, kissed Emily on the cheek as she sleepily wished me a good day. She smelled like her usual lavender shampoo. It hurt me that something so familiar could feel like a lie. At work, I couldn't focus. Numbers on my screen blurred into meaninglessness. Colleagues asked if I was okay, and I forced a smile I didn't feel. Every free second, my mind replayed Jessica's voice, telling me Emily had been cheating for years. That evening, when I came home, Emily was in the living room scrolling through her phone. Oliver was curled on her lap, purring. She looked up at me and asked if everything was okay. I nodded too quickly, my voice flat as I said I was just tired. Inside, I was boiling. I started watching her more closely, the way she angled her phone away from me, the late-night work messages that made her smirk faintly before she caught herself, the unexplained errands that took longer than they should have. Things I had once brushed off now felt suspicious. 2 nights later, while she was in the shower, I finally gave in. Her phone was on the dresser, plugged in to charge. My heart raced as I picked it up. It was locked, of course. I tried her birthday. Wrong. Our anniversary. Wrong. Oliver's adoption date. Wrong again. I set it down before she came out. My chest hurt like I'd run a marathon. I told myself snooping wouldn't help. If she was hiding something, I needed another way to confirm it. So I turned to Jessica. Reaching out to her felt strange after the way she stormed out, but I had no choice. I texted her, asking if we could meet. She took hours to reply, then agreed to coffee at a small cafe downtown. Jessica looked exhausted when she arrived, like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't waste time with small talk. She leaned across the table and whispered that she didn't mean to tell me, that she regretted it, but she wasn't going to lie anymore. Emily had been cheating. Not with one person, not for a short time, but repeatedly, with co-workers, acquaintances, even someone she met online. Jessica had tried to talk her out of it, begged her to come clean, but Emily always brushed her off. I asked Jessica why she didn't tell me sooner. She looked down at her cup, stirring it without drinking. She said Emily was her best friend, and she thought it wasn't her place to ruin a marriage. But after their fight, she snapped. Her words hurt, but they matched what I already felt in my gut. When I got home that evening, Emily was cheerful. She told me Jessica had been overdramatic during their fight, that I shouldn't take anything she said seriously. She laughed it off, like Jessica was just being jealous, but the laugh felt hollow, like she was performing for me. I didn't confront her outright, not yet. I needed proof. Over the next weeks, I started noticing more. Credit card charges that didn't line up with her explanations, receipts tucked into the trash for places I'd never been with her, a hotel reservation email that she quickly deleted, but not before I saw the subject line flash on her screen. I copied down what I could, dates, times, places. My stomach twisted every time, but I forced myself to keep going. One Saturday, Emily told me she was meeting a coworker for brunch. She dressed nicer than usual, a little extra makeup, a scarf I hadn't seen her wear in months. As soon as she left, I got in my car and followed. My heart pounded so hard I thought I'd pass out. She didn't go to the cafe she mentioned. She drove across town to a small restaurant tucked away on a side street. I parked far enough away not to be noticed. Through the window, I saw her sitting across from a man I didn't recognize. She leaned in, smiling, her hand brushing his as if it was the most natural thing in the world. I sat there for nearly an hour, watching them laugh and share food. Every second felt like glass cutting into me. When she finally left, I didn't confront her. I drove home first, pretending I hadn't left the house. She walked in later carrying a to-go bag, saying her coworker had ordered too much food and gave her extra. She handed it to me like a peace offering. I took it, my hands trembling, pretending to believe her. That night I lay awake again, staring at the ceiling, wondering how long she thought she could keep this up. Jessica texted me a few days later. She asked if I was okay. I told her what I saw. She wasn't surprised. She said she had seen it too many times to count. Hearing it confirmed from someone else didn't make it easier. If anything, it made the betrayal sharper. I started noticing smaller things I had overlooked before. The faint smell of cologne on her jacket that wasn't mine. The way she smiled at texts when she thought I wasn't watching. The sudden trips to clear her head. Each detail piled onto the last, building a mountain of doubt I couldn't climb over. One evening, Emily asked why I was so distant. She said I felt cold, disconnected. I almost laughed at the irony. She accused me of being the problem, of pulling away, of making her feel unloved. I apologized just to end the conversation, but inside I wanted to scream. The cruelest part was that even after everything, part of me still loved her. I still remembered the woman who made pancakes on Sundays, who doodled on sticky notes and left them on the fridge, who sat with Oliver curled in her lap on rainy nights. I didn't want to believe she was gone, replaced by someone who lied so easily. But the evidence was there. Jessica's words echoed in my mind, years, systematic, repeated. And I knew the time was coming when I couldn't keep pretending. The weeks after I followed Emily felt unreal, like I was living two lives at once. Outwardly, I went through the motions, work, chores, dinners, conversations that sounded normal. Inside, I was unraveling. Every laugh she gave me, every gentle touch on my arm, every casual question about my day felt rehearsed. I wanted to believe her, but Jessica's words and my own eyes had already destroyed that possibility. I started documenting everything, dates, receipts, unexplained absences. I kept a notebook hidden in the garage where Emily never went. Each entry was another nail in the coffin of our marriage, but I couldn't stop. I needed the truth in front of me, in ink, so I couldn't lie to myself anymore. Jessica and I met again a few times. She was torn between guilt and anger. She said she hated Emily for dragging her into this web of lies, for making her complicit. She also said she pitied me, that she had tried to protect me, but Emily never listened. I didn't know whether to thank her or resent her. Without her slip, I might still be blind. But because of her slip, I now carried a weight I could never put down. The hardest part was acting normal. Emily didn't know how closely I was watching. She thought she was still in control, that her little stories about late nights at work or sudden errands were convincing. I smiled, nodded, pretended to believe. Every lie she told became a test of how long I could keep my mask on. One night, Emily left for drinks with co-workers. As soon as her car disappeared, I sat in the dark living room with Oliver curled beside me. Hours passed. I checked the time again and again, my chest tight. At midnight, headlights finally swept across the window. She walked in smelling faintly of wine and perfume that wasn't hers. She kissed me on the cheek and told me she missed me. I forced myself not to recoil. Later that night, I stood in the bathroom staring at my reflection. My eyes looked hollow. I barely recognized the man staring back. I whispered to myself that I had to confront her, that I couldn't live like this forever. But when morning came, I froze all over again. I didn't want to lose her, even as I knew she was already gone. The turning point came from something small. I was cleaning the living room when I found a receipt tucked under the couch cushion. A hotel bill, dated just 2 days earlier. 2 meals, 2 drinks, 1 room. My hands shook as I held it. This wasn't hearsay or suspicion. This was proof in black and white. That night, I placed the receipt on the kitchen table. I waited for Emily to come home. When she saw it, her face went pale. She picked it up, scanned it, and looked at me with wide eyes. For a moment she seemed ready to deny it, to spin another story. But then she just sighed, crumpled the paper in her hand, and said I had no idea how complicated things were. Her words cut deeper than if she had screamed. She didn't say it wasn't true. She didn't apologize. She just acted like her betrayal was something too complex for me to understand. I wanted to demand details. Who, when, why. But instead, I sat there in silence, the air between us heavy. She walked away, leaving me alone at the table with the sound of the fridge humming behind me. That was the last time I tried to confront her directly. In the days that followed, Emily carried on as if nothing had happened. She still went out, still smiled, still texted secretly. I think she assumed I would stay, that my silence meant acceptance. Maybe she was right. I stayed. But the truth is, I don't know why. Maybe I stayed because I was afraid of starting over. Maybe I stayed because I still loved the version of her I once believed in. Maybe I stayed because leaving would mean admitting my whole marriage was built on lies. Jessica texted me one evening, asking if I was okay. I told her the receipt confirmed everything. She wrote back that she was sorry, that she wished she had told me sooner. She said Emily didn't deserve my loyalty. I didn't reply. Now, months later, life looks the same from the outside. We still share a house, we still have Oliver, we still eat dinner together, sometimes even laugh, but every sound, every smell, every look carries a shadow. The sound of her phone buzzing makes my stomach tighten. The smell of unfamiliar cologne makes my chest ache. The way she glances at the clock during dinner feels like a countdown to her next lie. I don't know how long I can live like this. Sometimes I imagine packing a bag, walking out the front door, never looking back. Other times I imagine her confessing everything, tears streaming down her face, begging me to forgive her. Both scenarios feel like fantasies, equally unlikely. The reality is quieter, emptier. Emily still kisses me goodnight. She still tells me she loves me. But now, every time she says it, I hear Jessica's voice underneath, reminding me of years of lies. And I sit here wondering if the woman I married ever truly existed, or if she was just a mask worn by someone who knew exactly how to play the part. I don't have answers. I don't know if I ever will. All I know is that a single careless moment from her best friend cracked open a truth I can't unsee. And I'm left here, trapped between the life I thought I had and the reality I can't escape.